It's nothing more than a sticking plaster, firefighting instead of fixing the issues which have seen thousands of families failed for over more than a decade.
Well, last night we heard from some of those families, and today many of them have been trying to absorb the details of the government's plan to train thousands more staff, speed up support, and build 33 new special schools, including one in Bedfordshire.
In a moment, we'll hear from our reporter Rob Setchell about the situation in the region's packed classrooms. But first, Westminster now, and our political correspondent Emma Hutchinson. Good evening, Emma. Can you tell us more about what the government is actually proposing?
Well, the government say their plan will ensure every child gets the support that they need. Amongst the measures that they've announced today, there is a new national standard in SEND provision, so that will allow parents to know what level of support they can expect for their children. Also, £2.6 billion over 3 years, and that will be used to fund thousands of extra school places, including at 33 new special schools, one of which will be in central Bedfordshire. And there will also be more investment in training up, the government say, thousands of support staff to support those with special educational needs who are in mainstream schools. So, will this be enough to fix what so many are describing as a broken system?
We are creating thousands of new places in not just those 33 schools, but the 49 schools that are already in the pipeline, the 92 free schools already open. But this is all about making sure that there's better provision in mainstream schools. We want to make it easier for parents to know that their children will be properly supported in schools.
While it includes some really welcome things that do need to happen, it's simply not enough to actually address the scale of the crisis that exists in our SEND system at the moment. And autistic children are at risk of continuing to be left behind unless something's done. We need to see much bigger commitments of investment into the right schools and services so that no autistic child has to travel hours just to go to a school that meets their needs.
And of course, parents, teachers, councils across the region have long awaited the announcements of today's plan. So they will now be looking at all the details and hoping that it will make a difference.
Okay, Emma, as ever, thanks ever so much.
Well, in schools across the region, there will be a cautious welcome for those pledges to transform services, but also some scepticism over whether it really addresses the core issues: school places and funding.
Well, in the run-up to today's announcement, Rob Setchell spent a day at Highfield Academy in Ely to see the challenges of running an oversubscribed school where the head says base funding per pupil hasn't increased in over a decade.
Jasper's dream is to work with animals, a dream fostered by a fledgling farm at the school that supported him since he was a 3-year-old learning to live with Down syndrome.
It means a lot. Like, the school's been my whole life. It feels really good to be here.
Must be 5.5 years ago.
13-year-old Jaden started at Highfield Academy in Ely on the same day as the head, Adam. Before, he thought achievements and ambitions were for other people, not anymore.
I was 7 years down in my work at my old school. Now I've come up a bit more now here. I want to be a zookeeper, but also want to be a plumber. So,
Could you do both?
no, you couldn't.
The school has more than 130 pupils aged 4 to 22 with a broad range of learning disabilities and additional needs. Places are in demand with 80 applications for 15 spaces in September. Adam worries how they'll cope financially.
Unless something changes at a national level, within a couple of years we're into the red, and we can't afford to go broke. We're not allowed to go bust as a school, and nobody can answer what would happen if we did.
Well, what's likely to happen is cuts, like the 7 teaching assistant posts lost here in recent years, like the one-to-one therapies which give non-speaking children a voice, the music therapy, which Holly has loved since she was little, the specialist who works with a ruche. He mimics others' speech. These moments are the only times he leads communication.
This isn't about babysitting. This is about engagement in life, progress, and the right to enjoy your life, whatever your level of need. It is absolutely no good to have the same politicians spinning the same nonsense again and again about more funding being put in education since, for the longest time ever. Well, there are more human beings in education for the longest time ever, so of course the numbers are going to go up. We need politicians that care about children and children's progress, not about grades and graphs, but actually about individual young people.
And, Adam says, individual teachers. Difficult and dangerous behaviour does happen, and staffing levels are key to coping. Kathy started as a teaching assistant. Now she has her own class, and they love her.
She is the best teacher.
She remembers how the education system dealt her a tough hand and can draw on personal experience of struggling with the formalities of mainstream school.
I really struggled to organise my own thoughts quite a lot of the time, and I was able to have a conversation with a student who's got ADHD and say, like, this is how I organise my thoughts, and they were able to use that process themselves as well. So just being able to share your own experiences with them really helps.
Many here have been excluded from mainstream schools, but they thrive in an environment with targets they can achieve, routine they can follow, the freedom to occasionally dress up as Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Are you meant to be up here, Ollie?
Just go for
A movement break, okay, that's interesting. You get to see their journeys, and you get to see, you see them when they come in when they're 5, and you see them at prom when they leave, and they're all suited and booted. Some of them will go off to further education, some of them might go off to a social enterprise or to social care, but they can succeed, they can have full rewarding lives, but they need the system to be behind them.
The government's SEND review acknowledges that system is broken, but while it's being fixed, Adam wonders how many voices so hard fought for will be silenced, how many childhood ambitions will go unfulfilled.
Well, Rob joins us in the studio now. Rob, we heard the head there speaking so passionately. Does he think that today's reforms are enough to fix the system?
In a word, Becky, no. I spoke to Adam earlier today to get his impression of the plan, and he says that the sentiment of it sounds fantastic, but he's just not convinced that it strikes at the core of the issue, which is that there simply are not enough special school places to keep up with demand. He says that dozens of new schools by 2025 is a good start, will make a difference, but it won't make a difference immediately. He even wonders whether the government will start building them after their promised 40 new hospitals. And he says the real elephant in the room here is funding, both for mainstream and special schools. Lots of the rest, he says, is firefighting, not fixing the problems.
Rob, we've heard from many families on this issue over the recent years. Can they be getting any reassurance from today's announcement?
Well, again, I think from the sentiment of what the government is saying, they might get some reassurance, particularly on speeding up access to support, on digitising education, health and care plans, which can be so time consuming and painful to get right. But I think there will be a lot of scepticism out there as well for new national standards in an area where local authorities are struggling to comply with the existing ones. So I think what we'll see is a sort of a backlash of sorts, I would imagine, against this plan. And this will be an issue that we will continue to go back to. There's no miracle cure because problems are so deep-rooted.
Very sad, isn't it, Rob? Thanks ever so much for speaking to us on the programme.
And for more of our reports on the special educational needs system, head to our website, itv.com/Anglia.
Next tonight.